Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here, and the devs over at Dead by Daylight put out another tweet letting us know that there's an update coming next week with more changes. More changes are on the way for next week's update. Skull Merchant adjustments and screams. And find out more. When you click that link, it takes you to the official forums of Dead by Daylight. Tools of Torment tweaks in this developer update. Let's go ahead and read through it. Another special edition of the developer update. Next week's update will feature changes for Screams and the newest killer, the Skull Merchant. We wanted to take this opportunity to share what's on the way, as well as the reasoning behind these changes. The Skull Merchant. Between the public test build and live release of the Tools of Torment chapter, we made a wide variety of changes to the Skull Merchant to help address some of the feedback we received. We've been keeping a close eye on her since, and while it seems like these changes have had a positive effect on her performance, there are a few frustrations that we want to address sooner rather than later. In no particular order, these are: it doesn't feel like the Skull Merchant's power helps her enough in chase, it doesn't feel as though there's enough risk to having a claw trap, and the Skull Merchant is too good at holding 3 generators, causing very long matches. I might have tweeted something about that. The pain points are a common thread between the feedback many of you have given since, so I think it's main points. The main points are a common thread between the feedback many of you have given since the chapter released. To rectify each of them, we have made a large number of changes. On the hunt, the Skull Merchant's drones will lock onto survivors, making them exposed for some time. This can push survivors away from stronger structures and into sparser parts of the map. However, as many of you have pointed out, this doesn't really pose a threat if you're already injured, and getting hit will already put you in the dying state. Likewise, claw traps don't feel equally threatening to all players. While the thought of having your location constantly broadcasted to the killer is enough of a deterrent for some, more confident survivors may actually welcome a chase, instead opting to keep the killer distracted for their teammates. To improve her strength in a chase, we've made a couple of changes. First, the Skull Merchant will now gain a growing haste effect for each survivor tracked on her radar. This bonus starts at 3% for 1 survivor, raises to 5% for 2, 6% for 3, and 7% for 4. Both claw traps and active drone zones will contribute to this, and the killer does not need to inspect their scanner to gain the benefits. This will reward the killer for efficiently using their power to keep tabs on their prey. Second, vaulting a pallet with a claw trap will cause that pallet to break, destroying the claw trap in the process. This was previously part of the common ultrasonic trap speaker add-on. With this change, being chased with a claw trap attached becomes a lot more dangerous. These combined adjustments allow the Skull Merchant to more frequently get value out of her power, regardless of whether or not the survivor she's chasing is injured. Generator defense. The Skull Merchant excels when it comes to defending a cluster of 3 generators. You don't say. Not only will her drones notify her anytime a survivor approaches a generator, but she can also easily replace them once they're disabled. This can make matches go on for an excessively long time, with neither side making much progress. These matches tend not to be too terribly interesting for anyone involved, and only end when someone gives up. To put a damper on her ability to defend generators, drones are no longer immediately returned to the Skull Merchant once they're disabled. Instead, they will be returned once their respective traps are destroyed. This will make it more difficult to replace disabled drones on these generators. So, you don't get the drone back if somebody has a claw trap on their arm then, right? That said, this will now limit how often the Skull Merchant can deploy new drones. Therefore, we have a series of changes to compensate for this loss of power. First, to ensure survivors cannot hold a claw trap indefinitely to deny her from using her power, claw traps will now be instantly destroyed as soon as their battery expires, and claw trap batteries will no longer refill when entering an active zone. This way, claw traps will always return after a set amount of time. Second, drones will enter an unhackable state whenever a survivor with a claw trap is near. This will prevent a single survivor from running around and disabling every drone, meaning the killer will always have some combination of 4 claw traps or drones available to them. Combined with the changes to claw traps mentioned above, Skull Merchant will always get value out of her ability, whether it's through deployed drones or traps. Add-ons, and last but not least, we have a few add-ons to round out this update. The Ultrasonic Trap Speaker. Since this add-on has been incorporated into the killer's base kit, it needed a new effect. Ultrasonic Trap Speaker now reduces the time taken for undetectable to take effect when inside an active zone by 50%. Expired batteries. This add-on has been changed to ultra rare to match its high effectiveness. Since claw traps now provide haste effect, this would make the killer very fast at the start of the match in addition to revealing survivors' positions. Therefore, we have reduced the duration of the claw trap survivors spawn to 40% of the normal battery life. It was 150%. So they've reduced the battery life of starting the match with claw traps. Prototype Rotor. This add-on has been changed to very rare to better suit its effectiveness. Adaptive Lighting. Adaptive lighting now increases the length of undetectable by 50% and was 20%. Now, moving on to screams. I scream, you scream, we all scream when the killer is using a perk or power that makes people scream, unless you're using Calm Spirit. In 6.6.0, we changed screams caused by perks. Historically, these perks would cause the survivors to use the same scream sound as when they were hurt. We decided to change this considering the survivor was not actually being hurt, just scared. When we made this tweak, these screams became 3D, meaning you could tell which direction they were coming from, and limited their range as a side effect. In this update, we'll be readjusting these perks to bring them back to the original functionality, but with the proper scream sounds. Screams caused by perks will once again be 2D, meaning you can't quite tell which direction they're coming from, and they'll be heard map-wide. With that, we've reached the end of this special edition update. The changes in this post will be live in next week's update. We're also hard at work on our next major release, and we look forward to sharing more details about that soon. Until next time, the Dead by Daylight team. That's exciting. Really? So we might find out a tease about that before the mid-chapter? Huh. Maybe not. Maybe they're just saying, hey, something big is coming for the 7th anniversary. I sure hope so. Okay, so I do like that they have addressed the 3-gen, because if you were doing your 3-gen right as Skull Merchant, you were unbeatable. There's nothing you could do, like call a Brian overcharge and just defend an area of 3-gens, throw drones up over and over again. It was unbeatable. It was just a war of attrition that you might follow a survivor long enough to get rid of a pallet asset out of a loop and then go back to your 3-gen. And it was long games that were boring, and it just got to the point where you were just like, please just end me. I want the game to be over. 30 plus minute matches. I'm glad that they addressed this. But someone did, someone who read this before I did has already seen something about the whole haste issue. And I'm just going to read to you what they said here. Where is it? Okay, so the growing haste effect. So they wrote to me and they said, if you use Play With Your Food and get max stacks of Play With Your Food with the new Break Pallet for haste and both haste add-ons, and everyone has a claw trap on with the changes that they've made, you can get the Skull Merchant up to 6.146 meters per second movement speed, which is more than 1.5 times the survivor speed. So, assuming their math is correct, I want to see what Zoomy Mommy Skull Merchant looks like at over 6 meters per second. Like, what is the Legion speed in Frenzy? 6 meters per second sounds awfully fast. So, over 6.1 meters per second. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be fun. All right. Well, let me know what you think about this developer update. Are you happy to see these changes? Are you someone who has faced the Skull Merchant's 3-gen strat and you're glad to see it's over? Let me know what you think. I want to hear what you think about the state of the game, these changes, everything you want to talk to me about in the comments below. Sound off. I want to hear what you have to say. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you so very much, as always, for the time you spend here with me on my channel. And don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.